1st, 2018 Board of Health meeting. We are being recorded as well as televised on local cable access. That's where the minutes will come from as well. Call the meeting to order at 7:17. First thing, since Steve's the only citizen, anything that you'd like to say? Sure. Okay.
So I'd like to thank Laura for sending the documents for this meeting earlier today when I asked for them. I obviously would like to make the comment that I thought we had discussed this before and the board was making a commitment to put the documents up for meetings. This agenda's been up for a few days. No documents were posted to the public. So although I appreciate getting them, I'd like to see the board continue forward on its commitment to get the documents posted, the packet, for the benefit of the other residents of the town who might want to see the packet. And so I don't know specifically why this happened here. Obviously, the open meeting law complaints have been in the file for weeks. There doesn't seem to be any reason why they couldn't have gone up with the agenda. So the responses might not have been ready, but again, just that's a comment. I'd like to obviously see those.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
There were multiple revisions based upon a little bit of a change in information. So,
Great.
Yeah. So we'll try to keep that in mind. Okay. You know, the number 3, the review of the Board of Health Policies and Procedures, was just something that I think we had wanted to put on in case anybody wanted to delve into this a little bit. I know there's been some potential questions in the past. I think everybody's read them. Anybody want to comment?
Yeah,
questions?
I was not prepared with some written comments on it.
Okay.
I think overall it needs some fine-tuning of definitions and provide some clarities on issues that pertain to the reorganization once in a while. I'll be willing to put up some rough draft of what needs to be added on to make it more robust and clean. So if I can get a chance to work on my own and then bring it back to the board next time or subsequent to this, whenever that is, that'll be helpful.
Okay, see what, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sure, we can always revisit it.
Can I entertain a
Yeah,
conversation?
please, absolutely.
Am I like in the twilight zone here? You've been banging on this for 2 years.
I know, I didn't prepare it with the written document today, that's what I meant.
But for 2 years, you've been saying
Sure.
that you wanted to review this, and now...
I have reviewed it. I didn't get prepared with written up so that everybody can understand what I mean. That's why. It's not that I'm not ready, but if you want,
So what I'm hearing is you have a 3-year plan, okay? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, good, okay, I can work with that, okay?
It's not a 3-year plan. It should have been a 5-day plan, but it didn't happen because of the 5 days
Okay.
issues that I had. Yeah.
Well, you've had a few, right, you've had a few
Yeah.
other things to deal with recently.
Yes,
so-
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you just want to see this on another agenda, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I could probably highlight some of those fine-tuning and cleaning up and then bring it up. So more clarity is there, and then it's easy to understand rather than getting confused and worrying about ways of interpreting differently from different people.
Okay.
All right.
My question would be just procedural, because I'm kind of new to this. What authority do we have? Do we recommend changes to this and then pass them to another body to approve the changes, or is it within our purview to
I
actually
think
make the
we do
changes?
that.
Yeah, we
Is that correct,
have
John?
a process here to amend it. We can bring the amendments anytime into it and then add or subtract or modify it, and then we have to agree on a majority basis. That's part of the process listed here. So,
I can only speak to experience, and I'm just flipping through to make sure that I'm not speaking out of turn. But last time when we updated these, which was back in May 11th of 2016, these were vetted by town council, and town council actually came to that meeting to answer any questions or make any recommendations at that time. Because it is a policy of the town, council would work with us. You know, I'm quite confident they will work with us. They would want to review any proposed changes and give us any guidance with it. I mean, it's ultimately a board decision because we're a totally elected autonomous board, but, you know, any, change to it, they'd probably want to, hey, well,
yeah,
let's just review it, yeah.
It needs to be consistent with the other laws that exist here, the bylaws and the charter
Right.
and the state laws. That's the only thing that the attorney would check,
Right.
so that we don't falter
Right,
and
we have to
find
be
out
in
that
compliance
we
with certain-
violate any of the other things by writing something that's not good.
And there's a section here that's important too, is that if anything, like if we decided that we were only gonna have meetings on Sunday mornings at, 7:30,
Right.
we couldn't vote on that tonight. It would have to be, we'd bring it up and then you'd have to vote at it at the next meeting, kind of as a cooling off or as a vetting period as well too, so. But, yeah, we can change anything, but.
Well, I think also is to have, I'm assuming there's a reason why there's, 2 signatures that are not on this, but it'd be nice if there's 5 signatures on the policy. So if there's
Yeah.
changes that maybe that you
Well,
feel need to be
everybody has to
made,
agree on it.
that would
to-
make you comfortable
yeah.
signing this document, so it's,
Yeah.
we're,
Yeah.
trying to move forward and make it a
Yeah.
collective board, and if that's what's gonna take it for you to sign that document,
Right,
I'd like to see what you,
sure.
It's a good point.
Yeah, good,
Nicely said.
exactly, good point. Okay,
and with that said though, could you send it through Laura, and then Laura send it to us to take a peek at it enough time before we
I-
talk about it at a meeting?
Yeah, I think if it doesn't violate the open meeting
No,
law, I
if
can
you
definitely-
send it through Laura, she can blind copy everybody and everybody can get it, and it won't be
Okay.
violating anything, but just to give us all enough time to look at it before we
Okay.
discuss it at a
Sure.
meeting.
Sure.
I think it's a fair statement, and Diane, throw something at me if it's not, but I don't think anybody in the town of Ashland knows more about the open meeting law right now than Diane, right? Is that a fair statement?
Trying to be as knowledgeable as I
There you
possibly
go,
can.
yep. So if Diane says it's good, I'd
Well,
second it, yeah.
I know there's, caution, and I
Right,
appreciate that,
absolutely,
but
yeah.
blind copying people prevents people from,
Yep.
if there's something that has to go out to everybody for review before a meeting, it takes care of the problem. There's no accidents.
Yeah, and we're not voting on it, we're just,
Right, but I just wanna make sure that I have
Distributing,
enough time to look at it before we sit
Hmm.
in front of the public and review something for the first time.
makes complete sense.
Well, if we kind of were agreeing to schedules, then, maybe we could put it on our next meeting, which hypothetically wouldn't be for, 3 or 4 weeks anyway, right?
Exactly.
Does that give you enough time?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
There you go. So agree to that be on the next agenda?
Sure. Okay, anybody else? Anything? Pretty well done with that. The board reorg, which is, one of the major reasons why we're here tonight, along with just really the open meeting law complaints, to try to get those out of the way in a timely manner. So I'm not exactly sure how this works. Do we just, make
Ask for nominations as a
make
ch-
nominations,
for the chair, and then-
for the chair?
And then
So-
select the chair and then go to the next
Right.
one and the next one, like that. Go
Okay.
quick.
So I read the policy and procedures, and I know that it says that the chair is not to be running consecutive years,
Right.
but I think because you've had a interesting first year, I would nominate you to do it for the second year, as long as we have a unanimous vote by the rest of the board, which is the way the policy is written,
I-
if you're willing to accept it.
I second that. That is one
Now
of
we're
the
gonna
issues.
vote against
You wanted to.
We'll discuss it, or would you accept it?
Sure, if you like. I mean, I would nominate John, to be honest with you. I think he's, he's done this before. I think he has a good handle on exactly how things are. He has a very good knowledge and background of the town. He has a lot of connections and can get people. I'm certainly happy, to try to do it. I don't think I can do it as well as he can, to just
Yes, you
be
can.
honest. But, I'm honored that you would do that, but that would be my choice, if just starting from scratch.
I would strongly support nominating Ron, however, but I support his decision as well to nominate John. And I think that John would be a great model for someone like myself to learn the process a little bit more moving forward with his wealth of
Right.
experience.
He definitely knows the process. So,
If John would accept
Right.
the nomination, of course.
Well, I want to give you the
Right.
opportunity to not vote for yourself, then, because
Yeah, no.
I think you'd be
Right,
doing
it
a
would-
great job.
Right.
It
But,
has to
out
be.
of respect to the, and I agree with Diane, you've done a great job, but,
Yeah.
as you know, there's a lot that goes to it, and, yeah.
there
Yep.
absolutely is.
So-
There's a lot more that you don't know that you get done, that you have to do. And I'm very lucky to have these
Yes.
two beside me
Yes.
that have, guided me and basically taken the reins, and they make me look good when it's really them that looks good, just to let everybody know that. That's really,
That is very nice,
I'm
yeah,
just
so-
behind, they're behind the curtains. You know, they're the wizards, and I just look powerful, but it's really not that way.
We're not the Wizard of Oz.
No.
And I want to throw out a bit of caution is, and, you know, we've been very public and good and bad, and I have full faith and confidence in Ron, but I want to get back to being proactive, and I really, and if I had the opportunity to be the chair, and I've said this to a lot of people, and some people at this table don't agree, but I think this board needs to be more proactive in the community. And if I had the opportunity to be the chair, then that would be a standard that I would set. And I certainly know that we're all volunteers, and I all know that we're, you know, the pay here isn't all that great and everything. But I would have I believe in a start time, a finish time, and an expectation. You know, the expectation can be here or it can be here, but as long as you come somewhere close to the expectation, you're working towards something, and we're working towards, and, you know, back when I was a selectman, you know, like, okay, what are you working on? What are you working on? What are you working on? Let's report back. So, I mean, I would probably do things differently based on experience now than what we've been doing the last couple of years. And I just want to throw that out, that, you know, I mean, I believe in inclusive, I believe in working together as a team, but I also think, you know, that we've got a lot of work that we've got to get done.
Right.
You know, so
So
that's my only
let me
caveat.
summarize. You have declined to be there, and he has been nominated.
I
and
haven't
seconded.
declined,
Oh,
but
okay.
I'm
Well, I was
just,
gonna
I'm
say,
just
but,
saying,
I mean-
I feel as though John's the better representative and the better candidate. He's got a significantly greater wealth of experience at this than I do. And I'm certainly happy to do it, and I'm not saying that I won't try to the best of my ability. I just think John's ability and my ability aren't on the same playing field. I think he has the experience to get, you know, more things done, or maybe not get more things done. I just think
No,
he has
right.
he has the better experience to run a meeting and, you know, deal with, you know, some of the more difficult things that may come along. I'm certainly, you know, happy to do it. I don't, you know, and I appreciate it. And, you know, if the majority of the people elect me, I will, you know, do it to the best of my ability. I was just making that comment. I feel as John is a very qualified candidate for that position. He's had it before. He's been chair of other boards as well. He knows the inside and outs of a lot of different things that go on in town, you know, way more background knowledge than I have, and I think that
Well,
serves well.
You would probably be the deciding vote on this, because we
Yes.
already have a
Well,
motion and a
I was
second.
gonna say, you are the
Right.
deciding vote
So,
on
I
it.
mean, it's really, if we were to vote, it would really be up to how you would vote, I'm assuming.
I would, right.
So, I hate to put it
It's all
on you,
on you.
Ron,
Right,
but
well, right.
just for the record, I remember back when I started here, we had the same conversation. Right, Mark? Reorganizations weren't.
Oh, we've been through a few.
and-
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
Quiet
then,
ones, too.
so we can just call a vote, you know, with John and I, so.
No,
Well,
you can
I made a
only call-
motion, he seconded
He
it.
seconded it.
Right.
So that's the one that needs to go first.
So if you don't want the
If
job,
that
you vote
fails-
against it?
Right.
Yep,
Then-
and
Then the next one comes up.
Right,
And then
so you, yeah,
See,
I'm
now
sorry.
that's,
Right, right.
Yeah, because the policies say that it has to be a unanimous vote for the
Unanimous.
chairperson to continue for another year as chairperson.
yeah,
And if it's not, obviously there would be another call for.
understood.
This is one of the issues that I want to clarify in the.
Well, it's
Well, it's pretty
pretty
clear.
clear in
Yeah,
the, it's pretty clear.
I understand.
Yeah, it is clear in the
If
policy.
it's
I read it
chair-
because,
Chair for a day versus chair
So
for
if you
a
want the
year.
job, you
well,
vote
and
for yourself.
again,
If you don't want
you
the
know,
job-
it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
you can, I mean, you
exactly.
can decline it and, you know,
Right.
we would, you know, make another motion, but it's really a decision.
Follow
Right.
your heart, Ron,
Yep.
not ours.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I just really feel that John is the better candidate, and I appreciate the confidence in me. I really feel in my heart that he has more experience, way more experience than I do, and that, you know, I can learn from him as well. I thought I'd have more of an opportunity in my first year. Unfortunately, it wasn't as smooth as, you know, as I think anybody would have liked. I guess
No.
the last number of years haven't been, and I think, you know, with the personalities we
respect that,
have
yeah.
on board now, I
Yeah.
think that has all changed, and I think it's going to be very conducive to, you know, certainly at least Chris and I learning a lot about how procedures work and about feeling comfortable.
Absolutely.
Because I don't think there'll be an adversarial, you know, relationship between us, and I think John has the better chance. That would be, I would
And that's
prefer
fine,
to
so
defer.
we wouldn't actually have to call for a vote because he's
Right.
decline, he's not accepting it, right?
That is true.
Yeah. So then somebody can make motion?
So
Make a
then you
note,
have to
so
make a
then
separate,
So then
you'd have to
so
nominate another
I-
person.
I
Well-
had nominated John, and I believe that was seconded contingent. Do you
And-
still?
Yeah, and if declined, if you look at the policies and procedures, the vice chair becomes the chair for this procedure.
Correct.
So now, the vice chair, whoever it is, would call for the vote of whoever you decide on.
Well, you
Per our
have to
policies and
nominate.
procedures.
You'd have to nominate, you have to do a fresh nomination.
Right.
Right.
So,
What it says, just so the board, in the event the chairman
can
is
do it,
not
yeah.
reelected, the
Right.
vice chair shall serve as the
Yeah,
chairman.
but he has to
pro-
redo it because it was a sub.
Pro tem,
Right.
pro tem,
okay.
pro tem.
So
Right,
did
but we haven't
anybody,
had a
did
motion for
anybody
John.
move up? Did you move up to that position, KG, when I was in the?
No, I was still there.
Was it,
No,
wasn't
I'm
that you?
This is when
Still
you
me,
go to
yeah.
reelect.
It's still you?
Yeah,
Okay,
still
so
me.
that's,
We,
so you're,
to nominate.
So when you go to
So-
reelect, if the chairman declines, the procedure for reelecting, reorganizing
and
goes
then
to
the
the
vice
chair.
vice
Right.
chair.
okay, so
Right.
I would nominate John for the
I'll
chairman.
second that nomination.
Okay.
So, any discussion? With a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You know I'll get you back for this. Oh, thank you, thank
Did you
you.
vote for yourself yet?
Right.
Did I work for, no, but you know, hey,
You have a vote.
you know, I have to tell you, everybody's got different styles and everybody's got different mannerisms, but I think we're all here for the same reason. But, you know, I have to tell you, and I'm sincere, and I've gotten to know you over the years, and the word gentleman always comes to mind with you, but, I wish I had half your, ability to count to 10 before, because I don't have that. And,
Thank
the
you.
composure that you've shown the last, you know,
Class act.
yeah, class
Thank
act
you. Thank
is
you.
the
Thank
only
you.
way that I could describe it.
I appreciate
And,
that. And-
I thank the stars that you decided to pull papers a couple of years ago and run for this, because if you hadn't,
Right.
I don't think any of us would be.
It's his
sitting-
fault. It's absolutely his fault.
Well,
But-
you met me at that
But
point, what can I
yeah,
do?
that's true.
We were on a
yeah.
conservation tour, that's where you saw.
No, but, you know, hopefully the town of Ashland doesn't pay too much attention, but if they do paying attention, everybody can see that, you know, your moral character is, you know, top-notch, and
Thank you.
thank you for everything,
So
yeah.
I guess the next step, John, would be vice chair and clerk.
I was gonna say, so then, any nominations for vice chair?
I nominate Diane.
I think
I would
that's,
second that. Unless you have way too much on your plate.
I'm just a little starstruck, actually.
starstruck, wow.
I don't
like
know,
that.
I'm on TV and I'm caught off guard. I'm speechless, I know that's surprising.
Well, wait a minute, that's a first. Get the calendar out. How long have you known Diane, Mark? Get the calendar out. She's speechless, okay. Wow, no, I think it's an excellent choice. Further discussion?
Okay.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
that's unanimous. And then clerk position.
KG, you want to do that again? I'm happy to do something. You want to be
looks
just a
like I
regular?
won it forever.
You want to just be a regular member and not have to worry
I
about it?
think Chris can try.
Well, I was gonna, and I hope you don't take it the wrong way. I mean, I think Chris is gonna have a long future on this board, and he's interested in learning, and he's interested in process, and so with that, I would nominate Chris to be the clerk.
I second
I'll
that.
second that.
I second that.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All right. Congratulations, everybody.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Like I said, I'll get
Thank
you.
you.
I'll get you. I'll get you.
Just give me work to do.
I'll
I
get
like
you.
to do that.
All right. Thank you for this. Review and consider of open meeting law complaint dated 5/1/18 filed by Judith Margulies regarding notice of a 4/3/18 meeting. You guys, I know there's been a lot of going back and forth. Is everybody up to speed and confident to discuss?
I have written, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right one now.
That's what I was just doing too, Chris, is like make sure we're on the right document. And if everybody just wants to take a minute to kind of, I mean, I read it today over as I was feeding my sandwich in my mouth, and just making sure that we're all good. And if for just a point of order, and not speaking to the board, but speaking to Laura and/or Mark, is this the one that was attached to the 307-page one? This is totally separate.
That I don't know. I
It is
didn't
separate.
realize this
Just so you guys remember, there was the last meeting that, yeah, so this is totally separate, and council is aware of that as well. Okay.
But that, the other one was dispensed off, that the complaint that with 307?
I don't think it was
Complaint is
ever
taken
filed,
care-
right?
I think she said she was going to, but we haven't heard anything.
We haven't heard, okay. And that's just
Yes.
what I wanted to clarify, that wasn't part
Right.
of this.
No, that's the one we got the night of the
Yeah.
last.
I think she actually did file that, but I don't know if it was an amendment to the original one.
It was the
At
same
least
one,
from
it
what-
took, same one, but lengthier, right?
Yeah, she.
Was
Yeah,
added
I
those
was
last-
that
I just think
rest-
it was supposed to be included, but it wasn't, so I think that this actually is for everything. I could be wrong.
No,
but
because
that's-
This is the one we got that same day that we came into the meeting to talk about the other one, then we got this one that day.
And, thank you, and that's the clarification I was looking for,
Okay.
because when Ms. Margulies came to that meeting, she brought a 307-page document
Which
to
was for
another.
that meeting that,
Right.
that we were talking about at that night.
Right, right, okay, and this is
This was the
totally,
one we got that
this-
night.
That has been-
this is the one that we got
So
that
that-
night in the
okay.
meeting.
That
Okay.
has been responded, right? That complaint, the one with 307 pages or
That's
whatever
been
that was.
responded to.
That one
night.
has been responded to, yes, we talked about that, yeah.
But can I
Okay.
ask for just procedural question, because of course, I watch it from the other side of the table, and, you know, when the board reviews these responses, of course, it's legal counsel who writes them for us, and we
Mhm.
might have a little different scenario, but when they put something like this in writing, I mean, it's pretty official
Mhm.
to sign their name to this, so to engage in a conversation with the complainant, when we're reviewing a response from legal counsel, I just don't find it appropriate. And I do not feel comfortable discussing any of these with the complainant while we're trying to work on a response. Because clearly they've set their side, we're setting our side. So if we could try procedurally not to discuss these responses with the complainant at a meeting. This is our meeting to discuss what we're putting as a response. This isn't a back and forth with the complainant. And I just want to bring that,
Well, I think you bring up good dialogue, because this is a response to somebody who has already said something that we may or may not agree with.
right.
So I think, you know, I mean,
And we need to make sure the context of this letter is inclusive of what happened what happened, whether it's right or wrong to the complainant. This is our side of what happened and legal counsel's opinion.
you know, just as a point of clarity, a majority of the board's agreements that that was what happened. Because there have been times in history of this town when council has come back with a response, and you probably know a couple that I'm speaking, I'm like,
Right.
I don't agree with
But
that.
the board
But the board agrees
votes
with that.
send,
But the board
votes to
agrees,
send this
right.
response,
The
whether
board
it's
agrees with it.
modifications or
Right, right.
somebody abstains from voting. This is,
Any discussion on Diane's
My take on
idea?
this
'Cause
response
I think it's
seems
a
to be,
good one.
seems to be legally dense. It's sometimes beyond my capacity to understand the legal terms there. So we got to rely upon her advice, what she has given us.
Well, can I just stop you for
Sure.
1 second? Because we do need to discuss this, but I think Diane brought up a
Diane?
good point. Was there any further discussion on what Diane's point is?
So would the process then be if that we would discuss this stuff in executive session?
no.
No, because this
can't.
is, doesn't fall into executive session.
We would just not engage in a conversation with the complainant during our
We're not-
meeting about
and-
what our response to this is.
Oh, in other words, so we'd still have our conversation? we just-
Absolutely.
Okay, I
Right,
got you, okay.
Right, right, because we don't have an obligation to engage in conversation with anybody.
Mr. Morgan, I see you standing at the podium, but I would ask that you take your seat, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to entertain conversation on this right now. We're
Thank you.
discussing it as a board.
Thank you. So,
We will,
my.
you're here tonight, and you will be heard, but
Well-
it's going to be decided in what context it's going to be.
Thank you.
heard. Yeah.
Yes, because I think we need to, think we need to get past this. We need to, we had a very good meeting, a couple weeks ago, and I think we need to move past this and,
Right, it just seems like since I've been here, that we've always let whoever basically made the complaint at least discuss their feelings on council's response and our potential response to, to the Office of the Inspector General. I don't really have a problem. I mean, I realize that I may not agree with, with the complaint either, and it doesn't work the other way around. I don't really get a shot to tell them what I think, which I don't necessarily think is fair, but that's just the way it works here. So I think we have to be very careful with what we say. So I'm not opposed to what you say. I'm also
Right.
not opposed to, allowing a citizen to speak his mind, because that's why we're all here. But
Right, and that's why we have it on the agenda for the first item, for citizens' participation, or for people to go up and speak if they have an announcement that they want to make.
Right.
But when we have an agenda item like this, that there's 3 responses, we could be here for an hour and a half talking about 1 response. Legal counsel's not sitting here, who's writing her name at the end of this letter.
Right.
We would be sitting here going back and forth with a complainant. They're complaining about us, and now we're deliberating with them about what our legal counsel wants us to put in writing.
Right,
And
no, I'm
our
not-
facts.
I'm
I know,
not
I'm just saying it, I feel very
Agreed.
strongly about it because I don't.
I'm not disagreeing with what you say at
Yeah, I
all.
just, because I think everybody's had a chance to review these letters. I assume, I wasn't involved with them, but I'm assuming they're satisfactory.
Right.
We should be literally moving to accept these letters, and
I would hope that we don't really, unfortunately, have to deal with many of these.
I agree.
Anymore.
I'm
That
hoping-
would be the best thing.
right?
I mean, Diane makes a very strong point in that the forum for a citizen to have their say is the complaint itself.
Correct.
And at some point, they receive the response that we eventually agree on, and then they can further pursue it from that point. This room is, and it's something I actually had talked to Ron about, citizens' participation, that I feel very strongly about having citizens' participation. But I think that is the period where citizens can get up, speak their mind, and the rest of the meeting is for us to conduct.
Is the
board
agenda,
business.
Right.
is the agenda.
Right.
And it's disrespectful to us and to the citizens of the town and to the agenda to have people come up during
And
the
the bottom
meeting.
line is, we're gonna get more done. We're gonna get more done. Like I said, we're trying to be proactive, not reactive. We need to, get back to.
Can I just offer one point? And my heart and my soul agrees with both what Chris and Diane have said. But my head kind of agrees a little bit with what Ron says, because in the many years that I've been serving here, I've always said, the only reason you come to town hall, unless you're on a committee or a board, is because there's a problem. And there used to be a town manager here that he and I would fight constantly about that. Like, no, and like, it takes a lot of courage to come up and stand at that podium and speak out against something that you strongly believe in. So I, strongly believe in citizens' participation and citizens' thing. But coming back, and I'm circling back to your guys' side of the fence, is what I've said for years, unfortunately now. You got a problem, pick up the phone, call the chair, call the vice chair, call somebody, and have a conversation. Get the board's perspective first. This is what, hey, you bring up a great point, but this is what we were thinking as a board. We do not intentionally, we don't want to do this either. I think it cuts down on these open meeting laws, because I agree with you, we've got more important things to do, but at the same time, we can become a better board because we do go through this process. So what I wouldn't want us to do is to sit there and say, we're not going to discuss this ever, we're just going to go with legal counsel. What I would like to see maybe as a board say, and I'm only saying Mr. Morgan because he's the only one sitting in the room right now, and he has a complaint coming up, is if you don't like what we decide here tonight, here's my phone number, you can call me, and I can bring this back to the board by not violating open meeting law and expressing your concerns with the board. And if the board then wants to make it an agenda item at its next meeting, the board can so do that and instructing me to
And
do
you're
a new
opening the doors to
agenda.
have a dialogue with somebody about it after the meeting.
Correct.
Right, and I think that would be appropriate for how you want to
Right.
run, which I agree with you there.
Because you don't
I
want to
just don't
shut
think-
down that citizens' participation. I
That's
don't
the
think.
only, right.
Citizens' participation in any manner, whatever
Right,
it is.
correct,
And I do
right.
believe,
So I think we're all agreeing the same thing, but I just
But it
don't want
would-
to sit there and say, we're just not going to discuss it with you, because I don't think that's good government either. Because, I believe in good disagreement dialogue results in good results myself, so, yeah. So, I hear what you're saying.
yeah, I feel pretty
In one
strongly about
sense, it
it.
saves the time. The other sense, it may resolve on its own when you discuss with it.
Because,
So that's what you need to look at to have a better solution than trying to
if we were having, so I'll call it an arbitration, if we were having counsel here, so we can come up with a collective agreement with how we want to resolve a specific situation with a specific party or parties, I would absolutely agree with it. But we don't have counsel sitting here. She has drafted a letter. We've all looked at it. We hopefully all accept, the context of it.
Mhm.
Of course, there's legal terminology and things in there. But there would be no reason to discuss it with the complainant
Right.
at a public meeting.
Because it's a response to that complaint.
Correct,
right, yeah.
right.
So do you want to formalize that as a motion, or just make that as a working standard?
I'd like to, because again, if there's ever a question or something the board does, but I don't think we should invite the complainant up to the podium while we're discussing a response to an open meeting law.
Just to kind of, I'm kind of, because I think we're playing this out loud, and I think
Yeah.
it's good to
Yeah,
have this
it's good,
discussion.
it's good conversation.
So, what if, in our discussion, in trying to put this together, is it possible that we'd wonder what the perspective of the complainant was? In a certain situation, while we're discussing something, is that even possible?
My opinion is that usually the complainants are very clear on what they're looking for.
I
Because
agree.
they say what the complaint is and what they're looking for a
Yeah,
resolution.
I mean,
There's no,
Yeah.
we know what the resolution is. Well, we all collectively know that, don't make a mistake again if there
Mhm.
collectively was a mistake, but, I think the letter in itself is her putting together the board's response in the context of which it needs to be legally.
right,
Mhm.
right.
So by looking at it and saying, no, we don't like that, I just don't think I think it's up to the board to decide
Yeah,
not.
I mean, and I agree with you, but I think
I don't
that-
want to close the door, because if there's ever discussion, like
And that's-
prior to,
yeah.
of course, prior to an open meeting law, if there's a concern, there was a concern brought up, about making sure things are posted, we're obviously willing to work with that, but I just think we need to,
Well, I mean,
Keep our
and all of a
discussions
sudden, and I'm just having fun here, your 3-year plan might actually be working. Because the board voted, I don't know, a year and a half ago, to have legal counsel represent us on all of these matters. But it was a board vote. It's not in our policies and procedures. That might be a good conversation that, do we want counsel to always speak for us? I mean, it would be my recommendation that we do, but you had
But
some
this-
concerns in the past that you didn't. No, but it goes back to policies and procedures. is
Right,
what I'm-
right.
This conversation, I think, is opening, it's a good
Right,
conversation,
right.
and thank you for it. It's opening up a whole other,
but this
you
is
know.
a representation.
Correct.
We
No,
have
I'm
counsel
not even
come-
talking
yeah,
about
okay.
this right now. I'm just kind of
Yeah,
talking
but if we
about how we
have,
want to.
clearly council represents us for open meeting law, but to have a representative physically here at a meeting to discuss it, I think if there was procedural questions, unfortunately, I think we've had a lot of these responses that the board's
Right.
looked at.
Well, I don't think the taxpayers of Ashland want to pay counsel to sit here at a meeting.
I don't think it would
At
be,
$450 an hour to come here, and travel time and everything. No, they don't want that.
I just don't think it's necessary when she drafts them ahead of
That was
time.
the intent with which we said, because we thought that was almost in agreement with what the complaint was, and we agreed upon it, and that's why we said, let's not waste the
Right,
attorney's money
right.
here, and it's a simple case of yes or no for that, and then.
And I think,
It worked out okay with the
Right.
letter that we
It did,
sent out.
it did.
But there may be complicated cases where we do need their legal experts to do it.
my experience is there's been more questions about specifically what public records people have asked for, because sometimes it's a little bit more general versus an open meeting law complaint. It's a very it's a form. It's
Mhm.
very, it's very specific versus a public record, so
Go ahead,
I
Chris.
don't think it's.
In just curious, in the history of anybody at this table working on this board or on other boards where open meeting complaints were filed, was there ever a situation where you had a response in front of you and at the meeting you were able to resolve
Yes,
the open meeting law with the complainant?
we have.
Yeah.
Diane and I have some of that history.
So I'm wondering if,
I-
Not recent, not
I was
recently.
gonna say,
Mhm.
the only thing from watching your meetings, I know that there's been discussion prior to open meeting law complaints filed, that there's been discussion and open dialogue, and I believe that's what was concluded, but I've
No. But there were, years ago, when you were sitting in Laura's seat and I was on the board slide, we had those. We'd have I don't wanna drop
Yeah,
names,
I was
but
gonna say, yeah.
I mean, I-
well-known
yes.
names in the town would file an open meeting law or do a recall position, and we came in and we worked it out.
And I think they're
And we worked it out,
prior to
yep.
open meeting law filings, though.
Correct.
They weren't, once you fill out that form, it's official. Once you
Yeah.
fill it out
It's
and
gotta
send it
go.
in.
It's gotta go to
If
the
there's an
state.
open discussion that needs to happen, hey, I think, this is what I think, or something like that.
Okay.
I mean, clearly, like you said, we don't wanna close people down,
Right, I
but
mean, that should happen before this.
this is a this is a representation of the people sitting here, these letters. I mean, this is a vote, and these are normal letters to be responded to.
All right, so I think that we all kind of agree in the do we want to do that as a formal motion, or do we just want to use that as a guiding principle?
We'd use it as a guiding principle,
Right.
see
I think
how it goes.
Because there might be
Because
one,
we might
Yeah,
be
there might be an
revising,
exception
we might
every-
be having a meeting to look at the policies and procedures anyhow, so I think,
because strangely, I mean, we've had board members file open meeting law complaints against other board members, so I mean, that then would
Right.
not be productive
Right.
Yeah.
if we,
Right.
and that's the only caveat that I was gonna suggest.
hopefully this is the
Yeah.
last couple. anyhow.
Hopefully that, yes,
Hopefully.
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 All right, so let's dig back into, it's dated, June 6th. Is it dated June 6th because that's the day that the response is due?
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? You had made a comment before, and when I interrupted you, and I apologize.
No, I said that this is heavily on the legal side with so many assertions from different.
Legalese, yes.
Yeah, so I have no comments on it, and I may have to take it as it is, her words.
And I just wanted to comment, they're dated June 6th because we weren't gonna be meeting until the 5th.
Right.
Right.
So they will obviously be revised sooner.
I was just, making sure everybody noticed that
Yes.
it's not today's date, it's
Yeah.
June 6th date.
So it needs to be
But it will be
changed.
I'm sure she'd be
tomorrow's.
happy to send it in
Right.
sooner, get it
Yeah,
off her
we-
plate.
yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and that would be my only suggestion, is that, we put tomorrow's date on it, if we do so accept it tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we need to reach the town attorney, or is this something that can be handled?
No, I can send her an email.
Well, she sends it out for us, so Laura
Right.
can just respond tomorrow and just,
Okay,
I mean,
you don't mind doing
just tell her that we
Laura
had
can
the meeting
respond and
tonight.
CC me, and then if she has any questions, she can call, yeah,
Yeah, you would have to just
And
let
she
her know
won't.
that, I assume that we're gonna,
right.
They've done that in the past, changed the date and sent.
oh, yeah. And the only reason why she did it is because we weren't gonna be meeting until the 5th. But
Right.
we wanted to have a full board for reorganization, so that's why we had it tonight.
So does the board want to take action on the document presented by council?
I read it, and as much as I can understand, I agree that the content is correct. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but.
Yeah, well, that's what we pay, that's what we're paying them for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
And I was gonna say, I am going to abstain from voting from these, just because I wasn't on the board then. I mean, obviously, I can vote for them, but I'm gonna choose to.
I think that's
Not vote on
wise.
them.
I would move that we accept, with the amendment of the date on the response from council on the complaint received on May 1st from Ms. Margulies, as written.
I'll second that.
So there's a motion and a second, further discussion?
And they'd be amended to June 1st, is that what you want to put it on?
Yeah,
or-
tomorrow's date.
Okay.
If we
Let's-
so move,
let's-
if
let's
we,
become that one.
that's conditional on if we approve it, yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All
Abstained.
opposed? And then one abstention. All right. That will bring us to the next one. We have a review and consider open meeting law complaint dated 4/29 of 18, filed by Steve Morgan regarding 4/3 of 18's minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review that?
4:30, John, is the complaint date. Did I miss that?
You might be right, you might be
I
right.
was gonna say, it's one I have here too. This- About the, it's dated April.
Yeah, you know,
Complaint is
on
the
the,
30th.
I think it might be a typo on the minutes.
It is, it's four, yeah, so, yeah, you're right. All right. That's a good point, thank you. And has everybody had a chance to read this as well?
Date what you said? 17, 18.
The complaint date is April
Oh,
30th. Oh, yeah, and it says
Should be
2017.
2018, it should be.
Where are we
So
at?
this is,
2018.
there's another
Yep.
typo on the response.
You got that, Laura?
I saw the 2017, what's the other one?
Date complaint received, April 30th. It says 2017,
On
but
the
it should be,
agenda, the
it should be
date.
under reason. See
Okay,
it?
so it should say April 3rd. Is that what you're saying?
No,
No,
what, it's the wrong year.
2018.
Wrong year.
No, I know that.
So
What
on,
was the
on
other
the,
one?
on the agenda, it should say April 30th, 2018.
Our agenda has the wrong date on it
Oh.
here. So we have to correct our agenda.
Correct agenda.
And on
That's just a
the-
typo.
On the actual response by council, it says 2017
Yep.
as opposed to
Should be
2018.
2018. And then my same thing would be if we choose to accept this tonight, we would change that to June 1st
Right.
instead of June 6th.
The complaint is on the 29th April, that's what is filed.
Correct.
It is easy.
So that, this
mixed
should
up.
say 29 April.
It's just
So,
coincidence. of the
let's just-
3rd and the
Agenda
30th
is fine,
know.
but
Oh,
the
okay.
document has to be correct.
Let's
I
just
got
make
you.
sure we're all on the same page here. Under
Right.
reason, open meeting law complaint, municipality, Ashland Board of Health, complainant Steve Morgan, alleged violation, ongoing minutes. Date complaint received was actually April 29th
Yes.
of 2018.
Agenda is correct.
The agenda is correct,
Date
this
of
is
the
wrong.
letter is wrong.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay.
So we have
So
to
it's the
correct
29th
that.
of the 30th.
Okay. So we have to correct
18th.
that.
We may have to amend the date on the top also. to
Okay,
show
that's
one.
on the actual.
Yes, and that's what I was just saying, yep.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yep.
Over here.
All right, let's go through this again and make sure
There
that we cross our Ts and dot our Is here.
You can double check, I can check right now. Let's see. Seems so long ago. April 3rd, it was April 3rd. So this is the first to April 29th, 2018.
The question is, have they responded to the original complaint? That there was an open meeting law violation during the recess? Have the AG's office resolved on it?
First one?
I didn't understand the question.
Judy Markley's
If-
complaint?
Yeah,
We haven't heard anything.
so if the decision comes out, then that would base on whether we need to have a minutes or not a minutes. Because if the decision says that yes, it was a violation,
Sure.
then we need to have the minutes. Otherwise, no. So based on our response given, we need to consider this as no minutes because we claim that not to be in violation. That's what it is.
That's what
Right,
the
Right.
letter says.
that's consistent with the other, yeah,
Right.
recommendations, right.
Right.
And
Right,
to
I
your
think it's
point,
consistent.
to your point, if that is then deemed not to be correct, then we can do corrective action on that as well. But I think this follows that same course
Right.
that councils, led the board on.
Well, and I think also to, just quickly to go back to what I was saying, is because there may be things that we agree to disagree with the complainant on, so it's up to them to decide who's right and who's wrong.
Correct.
And then if there's corrective action that we need to take, they will let us know and we will do it. But, I mean, I think, like, this is pretty basic. I mean,
Right, right. I just want to
Right,
clarify
yeah,
that we had
yeah.
had if we had had a decision from them, then we should base this on their decision.
I see what
If
you're
the
saying,
decision
yeah.
has not come in yet because the review has not happened yet in their part, then we got to go with what the board
Right.
believed
And,
last
and,
time in
and the same
responding
thing
to
with
that.
Kate, she's going with
Mhm.
the same
Right,
Format.
right.
Same, yeah.
theory, yeah, of,
Recesses.
Yeah, same.
well, in the
path.
same,
Yeah,
she's
same
reviewing the
path,
law the
yeah.
same way
Right.
this time as she has in the past.
Right. So does the board want to take any action on this side, agenda item?
Well, we're required to take the action, isn't it?
What's that?
We're required to take the
Well,
action.
Yeah, you have to
We
approve
can-
it to send it.
We can say no,
Right.
but I mean, yeah, I mean,
Right.
it would be my recommendation that we do, yeah.
You're right, yeah. Do we vote on these individually or as a group?
I think we have to do them individually.
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 Okay,
Yeah.
so we consider the April 3rd violation first? So everybody's on the same page, just the single response?
Okay.
I-
Do you
I
want-
would, I would make a motion
Make
to
that
accept
motion?
those, to accept that response from town council regarding the alleged violation date April 3rd, 2018 by Steve Morgan. Yeah.
With the changes,
Yeah, with, right, with
the date changes.
with the date changes, correct.
Further discussion, or
I'll second that.
second? Further discussion?
Hey, Mr. Chair, you indicated I could speak later when you asked me to sit down. Am I going to have an opportunity to speak before you take a vote?
We're going to complete this, and then in my mind, I was going to give you a very, and I'll stress the word, very small window but we're gonna vote on these before we hear from you. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Okay,
Abstain.
two abstentions?
One.
Well, Diane's gonna
Diane
abstain.
abstained.
Diane was that, yes.
So officially, we're 3-0-2.
0-2, correct.
Okay, and then we have the third one. Do we want to take any action on that?
Well, I would also make the motion to agree with town council regarding the violation.
I have a slight correction in it, which is just rewording the sentences, but it still carries the same meaning, has nothing to do with it. On the reverse side of it, line number 1, 2, 3, 3. The subcommittee has no regularly scheduled meetings, having met only twice since its creation. Accordingly, it will approve its minutes at its next meeting as per the applicable laws, and draft copies of the minutes will be posted in 2 weeks. The same information has been conveyed in a different sentence.
That would,
It says, will approve its minutes in its next meeting in accordance with the law. So I'm just changing it accordingly and accordance to accords there, so. I just wanted to change that sentence.
You lost me, I'm sorry.
There were two words, one was accordingly, the one is accordance in one sentence.
Accordingly, it will approve its minutes at its next meeting in accordance with the law.
Instead of that, I said, as per the laws, applicable laws. And a draft copies of the minutes will be
So you just
posted.
don't like accordingly being in the sentence
yeah,
twice?
Yeah,
So what you're recommending is the next meeting applicable with the law?
applicable to law.
Applicable with the
Right.
law?
As per the law or applicable laws, whatever that is.
Uh,
And the draft minutes will be posted in 2 weeks.
Well, I think you bring up a good point. 2 weeks from when? From today?
from the date of the letter.
From the date, and that's,
Yeah.
and will we be able to do that?
Occasionally
Posting is
respond.
only, it's not,
Right, not
Yeah.
voting on posting.
no, it's
Yeah.
posting.
We can definitely do that.
And after
You
that,
can do that.
after that, we need to
Okay,
meet, myself and Ron have to meet in
Okay.
an official meeting and.
I just want to make sure that, that fits into
Yeah, we can
everybody's
do
schedule.
that, for sure.
Okay.
And get it over with.
All right, so does everybody understand
I
that
mean,
we're striking
let me-
accordingly and just putting
Right.
applicable?
Let me make it clear that there were
You get that?
different versions of this letter prior to this, and I didn't find the reasons legally correct or morally correct or ethically correct. So I had changed it, and then it has come to this final version, because I had a discussion with the attorney.
Okay.
That's fine.
So, and you're good with,
I'm good with this.
you
yeah.
closed that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Brought closure to that? That's important.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion?
We have a motion. I second that.
Second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, on the
Yes, sir.
March 8th meeting with the Regional 4AB Preparedness Committee, that meeting was posted, but then it had to be canceled due
Canceled.
to the storm.
Right.
So the note made in the complaint, the response to the complaint notes, I think it could be worded a little better, just to
Okay.
indicate.
Yeah.
It was posted because there was to be a meeting, but it's the third meeting, second. However,
Okay,
it's
we
been
could-
I think you
confirmed
bring up
with
a
the
good
other
point.
No such meeting occurred.
We could add the word at the end, occurred
It wasn't-
as it was canceled.
As it
Well,
was canceled versus
Due to
improperly
due to
listed.
weather.
Yeah.
But that,
Because then
It wasn't
people
improperly
but
understand.
listed.
well, that was posted on our website, but wasn't a board meeting, or wasn't anything that the board was attending.
Correct. It was not a board
It was a
meeting.
notification that there was a
Yes.
regional meeting, so
Right.
that's
Yeah,
why
but
that
we've been
response.
told we have to post those meetings, so that's why it
Right,
was
but
posted.
so when you post those meetings downstairs, they always write,
No
I think it
minutes
says no
required.
minutes, and no agenda, I mean, however they
Right, no
phrase it,
agenda,
so
no
people
minutes
know that,
required,
because
correct.
when you look
Well,
at them,
actually, we had an agenda. I posted an agenda with
Oh,
Tara.
I saw it, yeah.
Yeah,
I saw
so
it.
it was posted and it was properly posted, but there was weather that canceled it.
Right, the snowstorm.
So it wasn't that it didn't have to
But
be.
you wouldn't be you're not,
Right now, we've talked to the Attorney General's office, the whole group, the 34 communities, and we do have to post until further notice.
so do you have to
but-
post minutes for it as
But
well?
what we're planning, yes.
But it's your meeting, it's not this board's meeting.
Right,
That
that's
is
what,
correct.
that's what I'm saying,
Totally
is it's
different.
not,
Right.
it's
Just so
not,
you know,
it's not the
this-
Board of,
no,
Right,
it's not
it's
a
not
Board of
this
Health
board.
meeting,
Right,
but that's what
it's
this
not.
response is for. This is a Board of Health response.
Oh, okay, then if that's the case, then that's fine.
Because it may have been posted, I believe,
But not for
under the Board of Health, because you have to post it under requirement.
Oh, so
It
we-
wasn't a Board of Health meeting, it was a
It
Region
should've-
4A
Region,
meeting.
it was a regional
Right.
meeting.
Right,
Should've
it
been
wasn't a
posted.
meeting that,
It wasn't a Board of Health meeting.
that's
I get
why
you.
this
Correct.
response
I see
is
what
listed the way.
Logistics with the clerk should have had it as its own meeting, not a Board of Health meeting.
Correct, because, right, there's community postings and
It's
there's
something
board
new that-
postings. It's to let people from the public know that there's a meeting, but it's not,
And
For-
we're having a lot of trouble with it, so many of the communities
Yeah.
are asking to see if our group, which is the Cambridge Health Alliance, can check with the AG to find out if we can post through our website and put a reference from our website to their website.
there's also, we have a community calendar too, and I don't know if that would constitute a
It might
posting for,
help.
because then it's not, because I know we do the same thing. It's like you look at all your agendas and make sure you have your minutes posted, so it would
yeah.
catch somebody off guard saying, hey, here's
It
a Board of
would.
Health meeting,
Yep.
that there's no minutes.
No.
Is
I-
the
I-
website now the official posting of the town?
I
Or is
think-
it
yeah,
still,
it
or is
is.
it still the book?
For meetings,
Or is it
It
still
is.
the court board
they have, we did get an exemption, so it's the inside board as well as the website,
as well?
not the outside
But
book
it
that we
is,
used
the
to have
website is not
20
the
years
here
ago.
all end all though, is what I'm
Correct.
asking.
Correct.
And I'm just
We
asking
have
for
the two
clarification.
locations. Yes, because it has to be stamped in, but the outside book is not, remember back in the day, there was
Yeah.
an outside book, that is not existing anymore.
No, I'm not talking about outside,
Okay.
but I'm talking inside the four walls of town hall,
Right.
outside the clerk's office. That
Right.
is the official posting still, correct?
They have to,
Correct.
yeah,
That
they
there, as
timestamp
well as
it,
the
and
web
it's
has
posted on the
been
board.
accepted as.
The web has been accepted, but my
Correct.
question to Diane, and it's just
Right.
one for clarification.
Yep.
Our official still,
Yep.
and if the town clerk is watching, one, why?
Yep.
And two, if you are, hi, but
Right. there's
What
two-
is the official
There are two
posting?
postings, but
Probably send a
the
text to you now.
postings, they're stamped in the town clerk's office, and the board you're referencing is outside the town clerk's
Right.
office.
because I remember years ago, there was a clerical error, not made by the cleric, it was probably made by me, in the website, what is not the official posting, so I didn't know if that had changed or not.
I couldn't say
I don't know. and that's the only reason
I'm not aware that it
Yeah.
has ever
Okay.
changed
Right. Okay.
since we had the
Right.
meeting book outside.
Right, we had the meeting book outside, right,
Yep.
okay.
Mark, you think that we should amend it and add the word that it was
It was
corrected
canceled
as
due
it
to
was
the weather.
canceled?
Canceled due to weather,
Canceled.
because
Yeah.
meetings are meeting minutes are supposed to be, why was it canceled? Well, it was canceled because of weather.
Yeah, you can add the word
So
here.
people understand why it was canceled, it wasn't canceled because.
After the word occurred,
Yeah, due to weather.
as it
Right,
was
but you're gonna,
canceled because
you're
of the
going to have
weather.
this problem again,
Yep,
because it's posted on the Board of Health, so that's the
Nope.
reason
No,
why
we
it's-
won't do that. I'm gonna have to figure out a way, and the whole region's having trouble with this. It's just not
just
Ashland.
don't post it under, just
And
post it
what
as a
the
general.
Well, right, instead
suggestion-
of posting on the web, you could have it posted on, I think that's
That's-
where John was going with the board. You could have it
Right.
posted on the board here and
Yeah,
put
have
it
a
on the
link.
community calendar, and then people know about the meeting.
And the link would go right to Region 4AB.
Yep.
And the minutes would be there, the agendas would be
Right,
there.
because you
and
want people to
so
know about
if
it.
you as a general, anyone from Ashland or Burlington, say, because the Burlington's part of this region as well, you could actually go to our website, and maybe the clerk will allow it too, and get right to Region 4AB's website with the agendas and the
Right.
minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's confusing and causing many problems throughout many
Right.
communities.
No, and all the great programs that are like at the library,
I've-
they post those, but they're not posting them under the library trustees, they're just posting them on the general,
They're on the, right, on the
On the
community
general.
on
on the
the
community
community
calendar.
calendar.
So
right.
going forward, we can just,
So we
you
can
can
do
just,
something
you could
like
just
that.
post them on the general
Can
calendar.
you
Yeah.
check with the
But if they
AG's
have a
office to
re-
make sure
Yeah,
that
They
they're
have a ruling
compliant?
from the AG's
Cambridge Health
office.
Alliance is doing that for
Okay.
us. They're our agency, our fiscal agent.
Right,
So they're checking for us right now.
right.
We're trying to
We'll find
get
out
an
what their,
answer.
if the AG ruled on it, or what the official posting is.
And I'll make sure it doesn't go under our section, Board
Right.
of Health,
Right,
because
so-
it's confusing.
Does everybody agree, meeting was canceled due to weather? Does everybody agree to that?
Yes.
And you've got that?
Well, I saw the notice. It came in an email anyway.
Well, no, I mean, we know it was canceled, but I'm just saying, does everybody agree that
Oh, it
you
should
want
come,
council
yeah.
to put that in, or?
Right, right.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
So that's further discussion?
For-
Seeing no other further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So you're in favor? Okay, so we got a 4-0,
Abstain.
401. All right, Mr. Morgan, only because I think it's fair that you came here tonight with one expectation and we kind of altered that expectation, I will give you a very small window to tell us where your head is at.
Well, I certainly could have talked in citizens' participation if I knew you were changing your policies
And
and
that's why I'm giving the
practices.
opportunity now.
And I would just like to, remind this board that despite information that was just put across the board, that you have in fact resolved complaints with me very recently at this board's through discussion. This whole process is in fact set up and requires this board to have a substantive discussion of the complaint. Every time you ask for an extension, which is frequently by counsel is told by the AG's office that they're granting that extension with the expectation that we will get together and resolve the complaint. Because the goal here is to improve the process. You improve the process by having a discussion and reaching a resolution so the complaint never goes to the AG's office. I don't have the exact count, but I'd say about 60% of the complaints I've sent to the AG's office have been found in my favor over the response from town council. Not saying town council is a bad town council, but when people just want to accept town council's point of view as a correct response, ignoring the fact that they're more than 50% wrong, and, you should be engaging in the substantive discussion to resolve the complaint. And this whole idea, at least from where I sit, looks to me as an effort to not take the time to do your job. I have already filed complaints with other boards who have rubber stamped, such as the selectmen, responses by town council without discussion. It is not proper. There are cases in the file that anyone can go look up that are there. So despite the fact that you have a member now that's part of town government, she obviously isn't familiar.
No, come on.
I was
And-
going to say,
so-
Mr.
I
Morgan,
was gonna
we're
say,
trying to
no,
be a
stop.
Excuse me,
proactive board.
I was-
No,
I'm
excuse me,
recognized.
excuse me, I'm
Excuse me,
speaking.
Mr. Chair, we're
I'm
not
s-
going to continue discussions like this at our meetings.
And that's what I'm trying to
Thank
shut down
you.
right now, Diane. If you want to talk specifically about the Board
I
of
do.
Health and not take personal attacks and stay on Board of Health and not bring up selectmen and other boards, I will give you one more minute to speak. But if the personal attacks and I'll say it, BS that, just like that, you're done.
All right, well, I'm not making any personal attacks. I'm
Well,
speaking.
I saw it
I'm
that way.
I'm speaking to facts, and, I see these moves as counter to the intent of the process. If you want all the complaints to go to the AG's office for resolution because you refuse to have substantive discussions and try and resolve and improve the process, I can send them there. But that's not the way the process is supposed to work. You're obligated to have those discussions. You're all certified on open meeting law. You're supposed to know how to do these things without the advice of town council because you're certified. And so you certainly are supposed to be able to introspectively have a substantive discussion about what happened and how not to have it happen again. And so I consider this whole line of thought to be counter to the correct process. And it certainly is counter to citizens participating in a meeting. And I don't understand why these kind of points of view were so generally accepted, other than there's some new members, maybe they aren't as familiar. So that's my point of view. I will file some more open meeting law complaints as a result of what happened here this evening. And so I don't know why that was necessary. I certainly could have got up and made my comment. You might have changed your mind, as you have in other meetings, realized the mistake, not gone down the path of making a further mistake. Generally, every board in town lets you get up and speak. So if you're going to make it so you can't speak to an agenda item that you're here about, I think that's completely counterproductive.
And
That's my
that's
view.
not what we said tonight.
I was going to say,
That
if I
is-
can,
Yeah, please,
just
give
to-
your
just to
perspective. Yeah.
clarify a couple of things. We've never met before. I'm new to the Board of Health. I've worked for municipal government for a long time. We all have a very busy schedule. My point of bringing the subjects up to the board tonight is we need to get back down to business. These are responses that legal counsel has made, and she represents us. Her firm represents us. We need to respect what she puts in writing, and if it's factual information, the board should be moving those letters very quickly through the process. We would like to work with you. If you have a concern, just like John had said, a concern that what the board is doing, hopefully someday you'll come up here and say, I really like what the board is doing this month, because we want to start having people get up and have positive thoughts at our meetings. We want to prevent having open meeting law complaints or, arguments on public TV. So I respectfully ask you to please work with us. You're telling us now you're filing an open meeting law complaint. We have done absolutely nothing wrong tonight to have an open meeting law complaint. So I would like you to work with us through the chair, and in the future, if you have a concern, we'll be glad to address it for you. But we need to move these meetings along. This meeting tonight was supposed to be a half an hour.
So to the chair, in response, open meeting is an obligation of every board. It is part of your business that you are to attend
Yes.
to. And, you know, certainly when over half of the complaints that have been reviewed go to the AGs and are found to have merit, there's clearly a problem that needs to be addressed, and constructive work is what's required here, not people trying to avoid the work. Because, you know, I don't like to come back, I've said this before, I don't like to come down here with open meeting law complaints, but if things happen, I'm gonna keep filing them. And, you know, we were improving on the process, and as I said to Laura at the very beginning, and I did compliment Laura on getting the documents out, but I did also note that it was a step backward in terms of the process the board had committed to get documents out in front of the public. So, you know,
Right, but it was rectified for you immediately.
again, I'm one member of the public. These are
But-
48-hour
But you
notice
brought it to her,
items.
but you brought it to her attention, and we respected your concern, and she rectified it for you right away. And that's what we want to do.
All right, well, you
we're not-
work in the office. Perhaps you should have been the one doing that work. I don't know.
I don't work in the Board of
No.
Health office. I
Mr.
don't.
Morgan, I'm gonna give you gotta stop these personal attacks. And in your attack just a minute ago that, we don't respect the process,
Right.
that's disrespectful to everybody sitting at this table. We are volunteers trying to protect the public health of this community. If we are human, I apologize for that. Do we make mistakes? Absolutely we do. But most of the time, we do not make mistakes. And I can tell you, we never make a mistake intentionally.
Well,
And-
I
And for
I
you to
agree.
question the ethics of any member of
Right.
this board,
Yep.
excluding myself, I think is wrong. And I would ask, you rescind your comment that you're gonna file an open meeting complaint about what we had tonight. We had a discussion that you don't agree with, but it's not an open meeting law violation.
I
And
just-
I respect your position, and I always have. But I just wish, and I've been saying this to you for years, pick up the phone. I'll buy you lunch. I'll give you our perspective, and maybe we never have to file an open meeting law commitment. If I tell you something, and most of these people know this, my word is my bond. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. More importantly, if I say I'm not gonna do something, you're not gonna convince me to do it, because I'm not gonna do it. But if you wanna have a conversation and a cup of coffee, and I'll buy you lunch, and we'll sit down and you can sit there and say, I think you gotta do this, this, and this better. I will bring this back to a board in a retreat or a workshop type of function, and we will discuss it. We might agree, we might not agree. But can we please stop wasting the taxpayers' money on these things? I understand what you're doing, and I actually applaud what you're trying to do, and you're trying to demand accountability and have better government. You know what? The lover of American democracy, I applaud you for it. I don't like the results of it, though. Give us an opportunity to
I
work with
think
you.
anybody would open up the communications to you as
Give us
well.
an
I think we
opportunity
would
to
all
work with
probably say, if you have a concern personally, or maybe something that we could do better, bring it to our attention.
Again, I tried to get up, and I was told I couldn't speak earlier.
No,
so,
I didn't
know.
say you couldn't speak. I said you couldn't speak at that time.
Right.
Okay.
That's a big difference.
Again, I've
A
already
big
I've already made.
And I'm letting you speak now.
I made 2 key points, which I hope the board heard. One point, the responses from council aren't working, because over half of them are being found to be invalid. That's a key point. You should be addressing that. That is something that you're wasting time on, because
This
you
board
are
has no
continuing.
jurisdiction over town council.
Well, again, this board is responsible for the response. You are certified, you are accountable for the response.
Over half of our
Second,
responses back from the AG
Right.
have not been found to be invalid, so that is an incorrect
Right,
statement.
we need to talk about the ones that pertain to this board.
To this board only. We're only responsible for the Board of Health. We
Right.
can't speak for any other board.
Second key point I made, in regard to the process, is that you are required to have a substantive discussion about these things, to seek corrective action. And on every letter, including on these complaints, all of which council asked for an extension, a letter came back from the AG's office that said something to the effect of, I'm granting this extension with the hope that the board will work together with the complainant to resolve this. That is so that improvements occur, and so it doesn't get sent to their office as
Prior
incomplete.
to.
And so none of that happened. I'm willing to have that happen, certainly. Happy to sit down with you, John, as you know. But, the whole point of having constructive dialogue, and the reason the AG's office has said on every extension you've asked for, please try and resolve this, is so that they can show constructive.
Right, before
movement.
it's filed, Mr. Morgan, and the constructive discussion is amongst the 5 people sitting here.
No, it's amongst the person who identifies the
Not
issue.
after it's been filed.
Not, yeah,
Well,
and I have to agree with Diane.
Not after it's been filed.
After it's been filed, the
It's
horse
not,
is out of the
because
barn.
If you had,
Right.
again,
Again, I would think this board would be interested in any member of the public giving them constructive input on how to avoid a complaint, whether it's from the complainant or any member who
You don't
comes to
give
the
us the
mic.
opportunity to do that.
If I
You
may.
filed the complaint before we have the opportunity to do that, and I think that's where the breakdown is. Go ahead, please.
and it's not constructive.
Steve, are you saying that the extension letter that you got from the AG suggests that we deal with you directly and
Every
resolve
time.
it? Is that what it is, says in that?
Every time.
Every time. I know that I saw the extension, but I didn't read through
Yeah,
it
read the letter,
entirely, but
every
I'll
time.
read through.
'Cause the way
So
this
that-
process-
That comes post
It is the hope
complaint
of the
anyway.
AG, it's not the instruction of the AG. It,
The-
They don't want to be spending their resources and their time
Exactly.
reviewing
I
complaints that can
but
be
the
resolved
AG is
at this
not
board.
mandating it, is, I hope for world peace, is it realistic?
And we like to
Maybe
prevent
not.
them from happening as well, because like
Okay.
John said, we are human, people do make mistakes. We're trying to do the right thing, and we hope that you work with us in the future.
And when something's on the agenda, that seems like a perfect and required opportunity to have a substantive dialogue, not to just rubber stamp the response from council.
Well, once
The-
again, we didn't rubber stamp it.
The intention
and we
was
are
to have
giving-
dialogue.
Steve,
My
you know,
intention-
That can, I'm sorry,
Please.
that can work both ways.
It can.
So we don't get a substantive discussion from you pretty much before you go ahead and file these. Just to be fair, and exactly what John said, just give us a call. So what Diane says is hopefully to prevent this, so we can be more constructive with the limited time that we have. But what John and I said, and everybody agreed with, is that we're not closing the door on you or
Exactly.
any other citizen to be able to speak your mind to the board. You can just potentially do it not inside a specific meeting that now is taken up. Your minute is now 15, and I'm
Right.
fine with it.
Right,
I'll let
right.
you talk all night.
Right.
You know,
I don't want to talk all night.
no,
No, but
I understand,
if a
but I'm
mistake
saying, so
happens,
nobody's
we'll
trying
fix it.
to not hear your voice.
Right.
It's
I
just,
agree.
it's just that, I think Diane made a
Right,
good
and-
point about
And again, Mr.
doing
Morgan,
it
you
in
and
a
I have
different
never met
format.
before. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I just want the board to get back to being proactive, and hopefully in the future, we won't have these. And we want to work together with you before everything's filed. So if there has just give,
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
sure,
some-
I'm sure
some-
everybody would say the same thing. Give us a call. If you
Sure.
have a concern, you feel that something was done improperly, bring it to our attention. We
So-
might
so-
not agree, but let's try.
So again, to the substance of one of the complaints tonight, it was solely about this meeting that took place on mic. It's on mic. All that would have been required was for this board to just put that discussion in writing in some revised minutes. Whether you agreed it was part of your meeting or not, all you had to do tonight is add that paragraph somewhere in the minutes. It's already in video. And if you had just added that paragraph, I wouldn't have to send that complaint to the AG saying that you refused to
Yeah,
do
but
it.
that's your opinion. It may not be the opinion of this board.
Okay.
But we have to be respectful of
that's
each
what it
other and
was.
agree to
So
disagree.
That's fine.
Okay.
So in the case of something like that, Mr. Morgan, right, so if, let's say something like happened tonight, because you were here witnessing it, right? So you can send an email to us, or call us, or come to the next meeting and speak at citizens' participation and say, at the last meeting, there was this period, and I read the minutes, and this wasn't included in it, could you include that? And you can even, hey, look, if we choose not to, or we disagree with you, you still have the right as a citizen to file an open meeting law complaint
And
at
I
that
haven't
point.
sent, and I haven't
But at
sent
least give us
everyone to the
benefit of
AG's
the
office
doubt.
either. Some of these get resolved, right? I mean, too often I have to send it up, but there are cases in front of this board and others that responses.
But give us the
resolving
opportunity
it. Yeah.
to fix
Yeah, I was
an
gonna
error.
say,
Filing the complaint should be
we
your
might
last
agree.
resort, not the
That's what
first
this is
resort.
about, right? That's
Right,
what
but
we're
we
here
might
for.
agree, but when after it's filed, that's when we have
I
other
didn't
parties
invent the
involved.
process, but.
I know,
right,
but you can stop the process if
Your
you bring it
belief-
to our
But
attention.
Yeah,
I think Chris has summed up 3 years of this in one sentence. Can you repeat that again?
Sure, filing the open meeting law complaint should be your last resort, not your first resort.
okay, that's an opinion.
Right. I
Right,
mean, give us the opportunity
Right.
To fix
to fix it before it goes to a complaint.
Sure.
Right.
So in most cases, if you can fix it, that would be great. There are numerous examples in Ashland where I have sent an email out. There's an example right now about the Finance Committee agenda.
I know,
Once
but
again,
we're
I-
we're
I
not
do
gonna talk
that.
about Finance Committee.
I
here.
understand, I
Or
do
Board
that,
of Health.
I'm happy to do that, it's not that I just come trying to get you. Some of these things happen, you have to file after the fact, but I have sent out numerous emails before the fact on meeting agendas, and I certainly try to reach out to boards, this one included. So, you know, it's,
Let's at least try.
yeah.
All right, well, I
So to the
wanna-
specific point
I
you
wanna
probably
thank
were
you for
asked about
coming.
is your discussion here. What I heard tonight was that you iterated with at least several iterations of a response outside of a meeting. I heard that in the dialogue tonight. That seems like a violation. Has that not happened here
No.
tonight?
That is
So
not what happened.
the iteration was with me.
And who else?
Just him.
Me only. I was the only one responding to the attorney
Did the
because
board as a whole get both responses?
the
No.
board got
Did not.
only the final response through Laura, I guess.
So the first response you commented on, the board didn't see?
No. he-
No.
No.
No,
Why did you get it specially, KG, if you don't mind my
No,
asking?
no, no. That response was with everybody.
Right.
I took objection to it because
Right.
that had carried the information that subcommittee was not an official committee, and I
Sure.
corrected it because we declared it to be a subcommittee. We made that an open meeting because we did advance it 48 hours before. I said I cannot stand by that statement, so they modified it. And later on, the response came with the fact that the minutes couldn't be prepared because I was away, but I reminded
He
her.
had made some corrections.
I
in the
reminded her
last-
that my away
But it
was only
wasn't-
recent, has nothing to do with
So-
not
so-
being
so
prepared.
again-
I can
Hang
answer
on, let me
as a-
finish,
as a
let me
member.
finish
Okay, go
it.
ahead, please,
And
go
then
ahead.
subsequent to that, I told her that because this committee is a committee that was created, it does not have a scheduled regular meetings, there was no expectation to have a minutes done in time, but only thinking that's possible that we could probably put a draft up, and that's what she wrote it, and then she corrected my English
Sure.
and then wordings
Just-
and made it clear.
And
Just
so
to be
what I-
perfectly
came.
clear, these two members weren't on the board at the time.
Hmm?
KG and Ron were on the subcommittee. I wasn't involved. So the council has no reason to discuss with three of us. So she got her answer and had her
But-
conversation with KG, so.
No, the response was sent to everybody.
The response
got-
was set,
Right,
but the
before the meeting.
conversation.
Nobody deliberates.
Right, nobody
Right.
deliberated.
Her-
Nobody
her-
deliberated.
So
Hang on.
I just, if I may, so the issue that I see, and I did read the SJC case, which I recently sent to everybody on this board, which makes very clear in the Whalen case that you cannot use out-of-meeting communications like that in evaluating people for personnel reasons. And the same kind of concept
we're
applies
not.
here.
But we're not.
You sent to everybody a draft.
We did not.
Not
Not-
us.
not factual.
The draft
Not
was
factual.
sent, draft
Wait a minute,
response
wait a
was sent by Katie.
This
Kate
is ex-
Federoff. Kate Federoff sent it. And
Okay.
I got that, I looked at it, and because I was on the subcommittee, I felt that that subcommittee was a subject to open meeting law, and I responded to her with a copy to Michael Herbert.
Okay.
That's what I did.
And then a
I
second
got
one
back, got back a response which was different, which involved my being away. I said that shouldn't be a reason for
Yeah.
whatever happened, because whatever, I was away only recently, the meeting occurred way back.
So
And
what
I
you-
corrected her, and
what they
I
reviewed
found.
tonight was with
I
KG's
found a reason
corrections.
that is
Right.
possibly.
Right.
There were two, one before and one after.
Right,
That's
she-
an out-of-meeting change that occurred based on a board member's input that all members saw in a quorum,
No.
and that is a
No,
No, they
violation.
did
No,
not.
they
That's
know.
what
Members
I'm,
didn't
that's
see
what we're
that.
trying to
All members
explain
did
to
We
you.
not.
discussed it.
We never
She
discussed
sent-
it.
never-
she
You're
sent a
making
letter to
gross
everybody.
assumptions.
Exactly.
Gross
We
assumptions.
never discussed it.
Never.
This-
I have not talked to
Laura sent the
council in
second
more
one to
than
me.
5 months, probably.
It doesn't matter if she sent it to you.
Did
All
you
right.
not
didn't
see it?
discuss it.
Did you not see it?
Listen,
It doesn't
We didn't
matter if
discuss
I
it,
saw
though.
it.
You're
We didn't
accusing us of
discuss it.
something that never happened.
John,
Right.
this is exactly
I-
my
and-
point.
and
I'm
I-
sorry,
that's
but
why
this
I'm
is
gonna-
exactly my
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
And-
So we're gonna agree to
You
disagree.
asked-
We're
you
going
asked-
to-
And I
you
thank you
asked
for
to
your
be
time.
proactive. I tried to be proactive.
I
I'll
thank you
file
for
the
your time.
complaint.
So
You can
contact
decide
John
it
tomorrow,
later.
just like we asked, and not at a public meeting, contact John and ask for clarification
I'll
on it.
ask for the public records tomorrow from the clerk's office. I'll get both responses. I'll
But-
see whose email's on it, and then I'll file a complaint. You obviously had two copies. Somebody
but-
changed it
But
in
we're
between.
explaining it to you and you're
Yeah.
not, you're arguing
I
the
heard
point.
what happened. I understand what happened. You
Okay.
are not understanding why that's a violation.
I know,
No,
but I think, I don't,
I'm glad you
It's not a
understand what
violation.
happened, because that's not my reality. And maybe that's really what the disconnect is.
yeah, I think there's a.
That's-
So the facts
That's
that I
not-
hear are very simple, John. There are two responses. An initial response that KG commented on that everybody saw.
No.
No,
KG
I
no,
ne-
no,
I
let me
have
finish.
never,
KG's
on my
comment-
heart,
KG's
I have
comment-
not
comment-
seen the, I have
Yeah,
not
but
seen.
you know what,
the-
can we
yeah.
end this conversation?
Yeah.
Let him put in a
No.
public records request and it will solve the problem.
But I don't want another useless open meeting.
But we're
That's
explaining it
all.
to him and he's not
Right.
understanding.
I understand. So,
I
I
believe
would
I
ask
am.
you, I would
No,
ask
it
that you
was-
not, and I would tell you that the board agrees that that's not, but you
So
you
there
are
are two
welcome to do what you
responses.
want, you
Okay.
feel like you need to do.
I hear
Thank
there
you for
were
your
two.
time tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good evening. The next thing that's not on the agenda, but it is, we are talking about meeting, and we did talk about dates. We are in agreement because of schedules that for our next meeting, and just to recap, because it's been a longer meeting than we thought, you will have your draft stuff prior to our next meeting?
That's when, that's on the 26th or the 5th?
And that's just what I'm trying to clarify. The
Right.
26th works for everybody?
Yep,
So is it possible that at the drop dead date, you would have a response by the 19th? So we have a week to,
Sure. Before.
Right.
to vet it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
for his draft changes.
So,
Yeah.
okay. And then the other thing, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, is that you guys will resolve the minutes?
That's
issue?
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
That will-
And then the other thing, just making sure, you're going to contact council with all of the typos and everything like that? So did we miss anything?
No, well, I do want to inform that there may be a chance that I may have a summer appointment at the school, so there may be some issue with the Tuesdays.
On the 26th?
Not in July.
Okay.
Okay.
So
In July,
I'll
okay.
post it.
And you'll
It
know that
depends on-
before the next meeting?
I wouldn't know because it depends on the enrollment. You know,
Okay.
there should be 8 students, then only they'll carry
Well,
on.
we'll try to work
otherwise
around it
I'm off.
to the best of our abilities.
Okay.
We talked about it earlier, so I'm comfortable to talk about it now. Priorities. I would ask that everybody, take the next couple weeks and, come up with something that you want to work on. Each person come back, including myself, come back with a project that we want to work on. And then maybe we can prioritize them, this is, priority number 1, this is priority number 2. One thing that I would ask, the town manager, wink, wink, being playful here, threatened this board that we would become the plastic bag police, because that is going to become law June 1st or July 1st?
Aye.
July 1st.
July 26th.
July 26th?
I think, it was on the, it was in
Somewhere
the-
in that
It's in
range.
the Ashland directions. on
So
the-
we should probably have an agenda item about that and clarification
I
if,
thought they wanted to take it to the manager's office. That's what they had promised before.
well,
And they put it on us.
if you remember when we were at the finance committee meeting, making our presentation at the finance committee meeting, Mr. Herbert kind of winked and smiled and said, I'm leaning towards the Board of Health being the
We can
plastic
get
bag.
clarification.
Yeah, we get some clarification on that, and if so, what does that entail?
So we would talk about that on the 26th?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that would be a good agenda item.
Another slot to fill in the inspection report, I guess.
And okay. Okay.
It's a weird.
KG, you would also send something to me about
Right, and-
some software issue that you wanted.
I just watched the last meeting on the video. Was understanding that they're looking at new software for the inspection report and things like that. I thought I would put in some input into it to make sure that we get something that works for us with additional information that we're looking for, because the current WinWAM doesn't have the ability to change the dates or mark the timings, which is there on the handwritten form. So we'd like to get such things, as well as the software should be able to self-modifying the form that we want to
We
use.
may be changing the software. That decision will be made in the next month.
Right, that we just want to get that
But-
discussion so that we,
But with
when you're
that-
looking for it, look for something which is accommodating all these extra things that we want to have.
Well, I just wanted to say, we should just limit the discussion on it.
Yep.
Right,
So
right,
we
absolutely,
just
yep.
put it on the agenda
Yep,
for the
put
next
it on the
meeting,
agenda.
even if
I
it's,
actually
there's no
have it
update, just
Right, even if there's no.
put it on, and if there's no update, there's no update.
Only because we're looking at calendars and I'm asking each board member to come back with a project.
Right.
Even though the school year is about to be over, summer goes fast, and we had talked at our last meeting about the juuling and vaping thing. And I think we would be wise, just in my recommendation, and open for discussion, that we be ready to do a parent-friendly presentation, maybe in accordance, in working with the schools, right before school starts or right after school starts, again, because, we're not gonna have a captive audience during the summer. But, and I know schedules are crazy and the schools are busy when school starts back up early in the fall, but if we're gonna do it, I think that, does everybody agree that
That's
this?
part of our meeting, we would have this.
No, I'm
We would-
thinking that something separate, something separate. And I'd like, I think it would be wise to work with the schools,
Well, they might have a forum or something in September that we could attend.
right, something like that. And there was one other issue, lack of dinner is kicking in. There was one other issue from the last meeting that we had that I wanted to close the door on too. Nobody's remember? There was one other agenda item that we're gonna work on. We talked about vaping and we talked, CC Doucette. We're gonna have
right, yeah.
CC Doucette at our next meeting as well.
I did have her on my mind.
Right,
but it
okay,
just-
right.
Yeah.
Right. So should we
If
plan
she-
for that for the next?
If she would love to, if she's around. I know she said
Yeah, we can
15
certainly
minutes.
send an invite.
Okay.
Yeah, we got another email about that today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the State House, yeah.
Right.
Tomorrow. She's,
So that would be for the 26th also?
if we can fit it all in, yep.
Okay.
And do you anticipate anything?
If anything, possibly a grease trap waiver for a change of use.
Cool.
Change of business, not use, it's the same, it's a pizza facility, pizza.
Cool.
A few other things on
If I think of anything, we'll send you an
Yeah,
email.
send it along, but, you know, just for conversation, we don't have to tie in it, but, you know, bring a project or two that, you know, we think we should work on, and, we'll set up some expectations. But I am a firm believer in, start times and end times. And I don't see why we have to meet for more than an hour and a half,
Okay,
but, so.
be great.
All right.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you and good evening.